We are on 1.5 combinations and compositions. So we are going to look at combining functions, adding and subtracting. So let's look at this first. F of x plus g of x is the same thing as saying f plus g parentheses x. So let's look at our first example. F plus g in parentheses and then 2. So what that means is we need our functions, and here are the functions down here. It should have been written up there too. So there are our two functions. So if I say f plus g to the 2, that means I'm going to add my f of x and my g of x, but plug in a 2 for the x. So it's going to be 2x minus 3, because that's my f of x, plus x squared minus 1, because that's my g of x. Let's go ahead and combine our like terms. So we have x squared plus 2x, and then I can combine these two to get minus 4. So all I did was do f of x plus g of x. Now I'm going to substitute in the 2 for the x. So I'm going to go ahead and find what that is. So that'd be 4 plus 4 minus 4, which just equals 4. And if you need to, you can put this in the calculator. I just kind of worked it out in my head. Okay, let's do now f minus g to the x. So now we're going to do 2x minus 3. So we have to put in parentheses because we're doing subtraction, and you're subtracting that whole function and not just the x squared. So when you do that, we're going to have the 2x minus 3 minus x squared plus 1. And the reason is because you have to distribute that negative. So then I'm going to simplify that, and that would be x squared, negative x squared, plus 2x minus 2. Because if you combine those two. Okay, so we do need to now substitute in. So that was just with the x. So we're done with example 2. That is with just x. That was that first one. So then the last one here is we're subbing in 2. So we are going to plug in the 2 for this x right here. So I'm going to change my color. So it's negative parentheses 2 squared plus 2 times 2 minus 2. So that comes out to, that would be a negative 4 plus 4 minus 2, which gives us negative 2. Okay, so see how the f plus g of 2 is 4, and the f minus g of 2 is negative 2. Okay, so that is combining our functions with adding and subtracting. So let's do combining functions with multiplying and dividing next. So f times g, 2. So let's go ahead and do the f times the g. What we can do actually is we can do f of 2 and g of 2 and then multiply those two. So I'm going to do f of 2. So that means 2 times 2 minus 3, which is 1. And then g of 2 is 2 squared minus 1, which would be 4 minus 1, which is 3. So if I do now multiplying the f times the g, I get 1 times 3, which is 3. So I did this one a little different before multiplying because if I were to multiply, I would have to multiply this guy times this guy, which would require quite a bit of work. So instead, whenever we do f of g to the 2, what I did was f of 2 times g of 2, and it equals the same thing. Okay, so let's do f g of x now. So this one, I'll do a different color. I need to do f of x times g of x. So that means I'm doing 2x minus 3 times x squared minus 1. So you can multiply that out simply, or you can do the box method. Whenever I teach this, I usually do the box method. But you can do FOIL if you want, because we're multiplying binomials. So 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. X squared times negative 3 is negative 3x. 2x times a negative 1 is negative 2x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And then you can usually combine those two. So we get 2x cubed minus 5x plus 3. Oh no, you can't. Let's back that up. You know what I forgot? I forgot the squared there. So that does make a big difference. So 2x cubed, we cannot combine those diagonals. That only works whenever they are the exact same exponents to begin with. And there's nothing to combine on that one. Okay, let's go to combining functions with dividing. Let's do f of x divided by g of x. So we'll put the f of x on top, 2x minus 3 over x squared minus 1. And if you could simplify, you would, but this won't simplify, so we leave it. Okay, let's go to the next page. Let's do some more combining. F divided by g of 1. So remember our f of x equals the 2x minus 1. No, minus 3. Okay, I was right. And then our g of x is x squared minus 1. So let's do this f of g, f over g with a 0. I'm going to go ahead and find out what f to the 0 is. So that means 2 times 0 minus 3, which is negative 3. And then we have g of 0 is 0 squared minus 1, which is negative 1. So this is going to be negative 3 over negative 1, which is just going to give us 3. Okay, this next one, you don't have a value for x, so we're going to have to do f of x over g of x. I feel like we've already done this one. Didn't we do this earlier? Yep, and it was 2x minus 3 over x squared minus 1. Okay, let's do some combining functions some more. So this time we have the same functions, but we have t minus 3 is our input value for the variable. So I'm going to do the f of t minus 3. So that would be, on top it'd be 2, t minus 3 minus 3. Because remember, this is my x, and I'm plugging in that value here. And that's going to be over t minus 3 squared minus 1. Okay, so the top is going to be, let's see, if we distribute, we get 2t minus 6 minus 3. So on top, it's going to be 2t minus 9 over. Okay, we got to do a little bit of work for this t minus 3 squared. So you can do the box method or you can do FOIL. But what that means is t minus 3 times t minus 3, which is t squared minus 3t minus 3t plus 9. So then when we combine those terms, we get t squared minus 6t plus 9. But don't forget about this minus 1. So that would be plus 8. And then if we could simplify anything, we would, but the top can't be simplified. Oh, yeah, t, I forgot the plus 8. Looks like 2 t's right there, but it's a t and then it's a plus. Okay, the next one, f, g, and then 5t cubed. So we are going to plug in 5t cubed for x. Yes. And then let's find out what that is. So that would be 10t cubed minus 3. And then let's do the g of 5t cubed. So that'd be 5t cubed squared minus 1, which is 25t 6 minus 1. And we are multiplying those. So let's multiply this times this. So 10t cubed times 25t to the 6. So that'd be 250t to the 9. And then 10t cubed times the negative 1 is negative 10t cubed. And then 25t to the 6 times 3 is a negative 75t6. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3. So all I did was multiply those two. You can use the box method to multiply, or you can use FOIL. Just make sure you multiply every term by every term. Okay. The next one, let's look. We have the f function. So I'm going to look back at the f function real quick. So this is going to be on top, 2 times 3t minus 1 over 3t minus 1 squared minus 1. And I forgot the minus 3 on top because it's 2x minus 3. So that's going to come out to be 6t minus 2 minus 3 on top. And on bottom, we'd have to multiply this. So it's 3t minus 1 times 3t minus 1, which is 9t squared minus 3t minus 3t plus 1 minus 1. And the reason I did the minus 1 is because of this. So let's simplify. So the top is 6t minus 5. And the bottom, I'm going to have to combine those, which is 0. Combine these, which is negative 6t. And the top is 9t squared minus 6t. Okay, and that is all I can do there. Okay, so we've done all of our combining. So let's go to the composition. So this is like f of g of x. So we have new functions, so pay attention to that. So the f of g looks like fog, where you're going to plug in g of x for every x value. So that is going to be 3 and then 5 minus x plus 5. Because we're using this function right here, but every time we see an x, we're going to plug in this. So I distribute so I can simplify all the way down. Combine my like terms. So I get negative 3x plus 20. Okay, then we do the opposite, the g of f of x. So for every x I see, I'm going to plug in the f of x, which is 3x minus 5. So 5 minus 3x plus 5. So make sure you change your signs. So it's 5 minus 3x minus 5. 5 minus 5 is 0, so this is just negative 3x. Okay, we'll do f of g of 0. So that means I need to find g of 0, and I'm going to plug in that value for the x value in the f. So I want to find what g of 0 is real quick. So g of 0 is 5 minus 0, which is just 5. So then in my function, I'm going to plug in 5 for x. So f of 5, because this g of x came out to be 5. So I'm going to do 3 times 5 plus 5. 3 times 5 plus 5, 15 plus 5 is 20. Okay, we have, again, new functions, so pay attention to those. So we're going to do f of x, g of x, so f of g of x. So that's going to be 2, and everywhere I see the x, I'm going to plug in this x plus 4. X plus 4 squared. So x plus 4 squared is like saying x plus 4 times x plus 4. So it's going to be 2. If you have forgotten, x plus 4, x plus 4. So it'd be x times x, x squared. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. And then this one you can combine. So it'd be x squared plus 8x plus 16. And make sure you distribute. So that would be 2x squared plus 16x plus 32. Okay, we're going to do g of f of x now. So I'm going to do, everywhere I see x, I'm going to plug in the 2x squared plus 4, which there was nothing to do there. I don't have to distribute, I don't have to combine like terms, nothing. So that is it. That's all we can do. Okay, the last one is f of g, where g is of 0. So I'm going to find out what g of 0 is first. Look back at my function. Function is x plus 4. So 0 plus 4, which just equals 4. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in the 4. So f of 4, and it's 2x squared. So 2 times 4 squared, because our function was 2x squared. So all I can do here is go ahead and do the power of 2. So it'd be 2 times 16, which equals 32. Okay, so that is it for your notes. We'll finish the rest in class.